everybody. This is again about the third or fourth take of trying to film this, and I'm losing light now, so hopefully this gets filmed before the light completely goes away and the sun sets. In this episode, I'm actually going to be talking about choosing a college and kind of how I chose North Central College in Naperville as my college that I went to, and hopefully talk about my freshman and sophomore year at the college. And so I kind of wrote myself out a guideline for me to talk about, because before, when I tried to do this, I was rambling everywhere, and that's just kind of what I do. So to not ramble is really hard for me, and so we're going to try that. I always knew that I wanted to major in education, so I chose a college based more on the other aspects of my search, because of the fact that most colleges that I was looking at offered education as a major. Specifically, I wanted to major in health and physical education, and I know I teach math, that'll come at a later time, but originally I had actually got my major in health and physical education. I really enjoyed an active lifestyle, and I enjoyed nutrition and everything to do with being healthy and active, and that's what I wanted to portray to students, and how to live that healthy and active lifestyle. And plus, a lot of the teachers that had really impacted me in high school were my PE and health teachers. And so for me, that was a choice that I wanted to make for my life. And so beyond that, I also wanted a school that I could run at. And I wanted a school that I could be a factor at. I did not want to come in as the top runner, but I also did not want to be just drowning in a lot of, just amazing runners, because I knew I was not at that level. A lot of my times did qualify me for looking at D1 colleges, but it wasn't really an interest of mine. I did actually go on a couple visits to some D1s, but one of the main things that actually turned me off from those was, for me personally, I wanted to do both cross country and pole vault and heptathlon. And the majority of schools, understandably, as D1 programs, want to develop year-long distance runners or year-long pole vaulters and heptathletes, and that makes sense to me. But for my life, I wanted to be able to do both, and I knew a D3 college would be best for that. So I kind of focused my searches on smaller schools. As well as that, I wanted to be able to play flute. I wanted to be in band. I also, though, from a financial standpoint, I knew that I could probably qualify for a scholarship with my playing, and that was going to be important to me. It was actually during the it's 2007, 2008 year that I was applying and looking at colleges. And so my dad was actually out of a job at that time. And so it was kind of harder for us to get a lot of that money to travel everywhere to look at colleges, and also to afford college in general for itself. So any and all scholarships that I was writing for, that I was looking at, academic scholarships and music scholarships were going to be available to me. I just was not as interested. I did look at a couple NAIA schools, and they weren't a good fit for me. So I did end up narrowing down my search to two different schools, UW Oshkosh and North Central College. And my one, thing I always tell students and athletes who are looking at colleges is go on an overnight visit. Overnight visits are what changed, really, or not changed, but what guided me to find a college for myself. And so when I went on that overnight visit, I looked for what would life be like in the dorms. Is this somewhere I would want to come back to every single night? What would life be like for the academics? And is this somewhere where I want to have my degree? The professors and everything. And then really the girls. Is this a good fit for me? And the first two pieces of criteria, both schools fit. They were awesome schools. They had great coaches. And they also both had great girls. But just for me, I fit better in with the North Central girls. And that's ultimately, you have to find where you fit in best for college. And for me, that was at North Central. And I'd always said, I was like, I am not going to go to North Central because it's literally 6 miles from my front door. And I also say that college is what you make it. It's going to be as close or as far away as you make it. And you have to make that decision for yourself. So obviously, I announced my decision, I guess all the kids announce now, which I find just ridiculous, but that's beyond the point. But I made my decision where I was going to go in March of my senior year. And I definitely called Mahesh and I was like, hey, remember that time in junior year when you came to my school and I told you I wasn't even interested in a pamphlet? Yeah, I'm actually going to come to your school now. And so he was laughing. And Mahesh Narayanan is a great coach at North Central College. So shout out, go Cards, woo! And anyways, I decided to go there. And so I finished my senior year off 12th in the state in pole vault. I'd qualified for finals that year. And I'd also raced prelims with my 4x2 team. And so that was a great way to finish out my senior year of high school with my team. And so a big part of, I guess, my training, if we want to talk training wise for college, was my high school teammates actually, or my high school former teammates. For our freshman year, I actually was very lucky that a majority of my close friends from high school also ran in college. And so we all had our different training plans. And so the way that every year it almost worked this way, the way we trained in the summertime was we'd take all of our training plans together. Like, yeah, I'd take my training plan, and then Krista and Nicole would take theirs, and Becca and Sarah and I, and Kate would take her. Everybody would just come together and we'd compare our plans, and then we'd kind of be like, okay, well, what do we need to do this day that can most mimic the plans that we have? And so if we did have a specific workout, we'd obviously have to do that by ourselves. But the majority of workouts we could kind of roll together, and it was better for us to work out together and to push each other to get really strong together. And so, because it's always easier working out in a group, obviously. Don't work out in groups now. COVID-19, don't work out in groups. But it was always easier working out in groups. And for us, that was a strength for us, for all of our teams, really, that we wanted to go and work out together and push each other. And so we actually I think we mostly met at like 5:30 in the morning almost every day in the summertime, because most of us had to work at either 8 or 9, and that was the best time for us to get our workout in. So at my freshman class at NCC, I always say we were a very unique class. All of us had come from very strong team programs, just all together. I think that makes a difference. When you come from a program where you're like a really good runner, but you don't have anybody to train with, it sometimes is really hard to jump into a really team-oriented program and then, be the same runner you were. And so obviously there were individuals who came in from those programs, but for me, I came in from a very strong team. I had my roommate come in from, my roommates, eventually my roommate, come in from a very strong team. A lot of my close friends on that came from strong teams. We also had pretty strong high school careers. I mean, just one girl sticks out to me. Kayla Bingham was coming out of a state champion 4x8, and they'd also set the state record that year. That state record that was set at 9:03, that was later broken by my high school's team. Wienermobile South High now holds it's a state record at 8:59, but in 2008, that was Kayla's team record. And we also had a girl from Naperville North. We had a girl from Harlem, from Hoffman Estates, from Fremd, from, I'm probably going to be forgetting people. I'm forgetting people. We just had girls from a lot of different schools that were going to be very strong components to our team. And so we were all committed morally to the success as a team of the whole, and academic success as well. And so not a lot of us, in fact, most of us didn't drink. We didn't party. We didn't do anything like that, because to us that wasn't important. It was that would have been sidelining a goal of being really good at our academics and our athletics in that order. And for us, we weren't going to sacrifice partying and drinking for our athletic and academic success. And we really wanted to be the people who we wanted to be, and that was not going to be a part of our, I guess, that was not going to define us. And so that was kind of unique about my class. It was also hard because we had a little bit of tougher time bonding with some girls from the other classes. Not everybody, but I just know it did. It was a little bit tougher for us because we got a lot of pushback on that. But we held our ground, and we became really, really close friends in spite of all that and because of all that. And so that was something that's really cool about my freshman class and just about my class as a whole. So XC, or cross country in the fall, I have XC written on my notes here. And then I did a heptathlon and pole vault in the winter and spring. I absolutely loved my freshman year for athletics. I did pretty well and pretty good academically. However, I had a really rough transition into college. And so that was really tough on my mental health and just overall on enjoying college at first because it was tough for me because my roommate and I really didn't get along. We were two very opposite personalities. We actually ended up moving out and finding new roommates after about 10 weeks. So that was really tough. And then just a lot of just different things that were happening with friends, and just I was growing up. I was learning how to be a friend, I guess, and learning how to truly relate to others. And really during that freshman year, I grew a lot. So from the person you are senior year of high school to the person you are at the end of your freshman year of college is going to be a whole different person. And not necessarily in a bad way or a good way. It's just going to be, you're going to learn so much more about yourself. And for me, learning things about myself that I hadn't learned before, because just not living on your own and making your own decisions and going through tough times, I guess, without your parents and without the people that you're used to or the circumstances that you're used to, is something that is you really only experience, and it's a great experience to have. A lot of strong personalities, but out of those strong personalities came some people who really helped me get through those tough times, and the coaches really helped as well. The coaches just were excellent. They were every bit as much of mentors and guidance and just people to talk to as my high school coaches were. And that's one reason I chose North Central, because I knew I would find that atmosphere there. Also having two of my really close friends from high school who were already at North Central, Becca and Sarah, really helped me that freshman year. And I don't think you guys know how much you helped me. So if you watch this, you guys were a vital part of my, I guess, transition into college. And that was really helpful to me. So team-wise, we were 8th in the region in cross country. Nothing spectacular, but we thought it was pretty good. We had higher goals for the rest of the college, but we didn't really know what we were getting into. So that fueled us to kind of start training smarter the next summer. Not necessarily harder, I'm not saying, because I think we were training very hard the summer before freshman year, but we just trained smarter. A couple girls, going into sophomore year, a couple of the girls transferred out of our freshman class. We had 11 to begin with. And so a couple of girls transferred, and it was my first summer over 500 miles. That was a big thing for me, going over 500 miles. Because, again, I was coming off of a really strong sprint season and pole vault, and wasn't really sure what I wanted to do with my next couple of years. But, I knew that I wanted to have a really good cross-country season sophomore year. So we ran over 500 miles, and then we got to the end of the summer, move in for preseason, and then we got to move into our big new dorm, Res Rec. It was awesome. It was a really fun experience, being in a dorm that had a track in it. And so they just built this beautiful 200-meter track. If anybody in D3 now has raced on that for any meet or for nationals, it's a couple times, and everything, it's just awesome. I absolutely love it. And so every year brought its challenges, and with new girls coming in, with injuries, with classes getting harder, learning more about ourselves in the close quarters, and discovering life through all of those kind of deep talks that you have on runs, that you have in the morning runs, that you have during workouts, late at night, and, just everything. And that's kind of the sophomore year that kind of sums up that kind of season for us. For cross country in general, in the nation, in the region, whatever it was, we ended up 5th overall, but we did not get chosen for an at-large bid, which I don't believe we should have been chosen. We probably didn't have as strong of a season, but we had a really strong postseason. So it just fueled us to work a little bit harder. I do notice that my time here is getting pretty close to the end of what I can upload, so I'm actually going to stop there because I kind of get into next sophomore year of my indoor season, which was a hodgepodge of injury and kind of big decisions that kind of changed the rest of my trajectory of college athletics and everything from that. So my next talk will be on my sophomore year and indoor season and my injury from there. All right.